The hammer falls again. Not loudly, not proudly, just steadily. A dull, rhythmic clang rolls through the stone holes beneath iron forge, echoing along carved pillars blackened by centuries of smoke. The forge fires glow low and red, breathing like a living thing. Sparks drift upward, slow as snow, before vanishing into the darkness above. You can almost feel the heat on your face, not the wild heat of battle, but the patient warmth of work that refuses to stop. The dwarf at the anvil does not look up. His beard is braided tight to keep it from catching fire. His hands are thick, scarred, older than many of the soldiers who will one day carry what he's shaping. The hammer rises, falls, rises again. Outside these walls, Azeroth is unraveling, but down here, time moves to iron. The dwarf works by feel now. He doesn't need to measure. He doesn't need to think. The metal tells him when it's ready. It sings under the hammer, a low, obedient hum. Another blade takes shape. Another edge sharpened, not for glory, but for endurance. This hammer has been moving since before sunset, and it will not stop when the sun rises. The forge fire dims for a heartbeat, not from lack of fuel, but from breath. Deep within Ironforge, the air shifts as if the mountain itself has exhaled. Smoke curls along the ceiling, caught in grooves carved generations ago to guide heat and sound. The hammer continues, but slower now, heavier. You can hear the difference if you listen closely. This is not the rhythm of creation, it is the rhythm of endurance. Outside the mountain, snow falls thick and quiet across Dunmorrow. It coats the roads, muffles hoofbeats, hides tracks. To most, it looks peaceful. To the guards at the gates, it feels wrong. A courier arrives just before noon, boots soaked, beard stiff with frost. He doesn't wait to warm himself. He hands over sealed orders bearing the sigil of King Magni Bro. Menatho Harbor requires arms. Immediately, South Shore reports undead sightings. Stormwind requests reinforcements and equipment to match. The list is long, longer than yesterday. In the Great Forge, the news spreads without words. A runner passes closer than usual to the anvils. Slates are updated, tallies erased and rewritten. The Forge Master's jaw tightens. No one panics. Dwarves do not panic, but the weight settles. The blacksmith who took over the anvil is younger, barely past his first century. His hands are strong, but his eyes dart often to the side, counting stacks of iron, measuring time he doesn't have. The hammer feels heavier today. It always does after bad news. Each strike sends a jolt up his arm. His shoulder burns. Sweat runs into his eyes, stinging. He blinks it away and keeps going. You can almost feel the ache yourself. That deep grinding fatigue that doesn't come from one long day, but from too many strung together. Across the forge, another dwarf winces and shakes out his wrist. No one stops. There is a quiet fear in Ironforge now. Not fear of death, fear of running out. Iron ore, coal, time. Thane Bronzebird walks the floor, boots steady, eyes always moving. He pauses beside a crate stamped for the wetlands. Inside, shields stacked edge to edge, their faces plain but thick. He presses his palm against one, feeling the grain of the metal. Too thin, and it fails. Too thick, and the soldier carrying it fails. Balance, always balance. He signals to a nearby smith, taps the rim once. A small adjustment, a fraction more steel. It will slow production. Barely. It might save a life. Far from Ironforge, a human footman named Elias Harrow marches north with a company he barely knows. His armor creaks as he walks. It's new, better than the dented plates he trained in. He doesn't know why that matters yet. He will, soon. Back beneath the mountain, A forge assistant stumbles. Just for a moment, his knee buckles, catching on a loose stone. A hammer clangs to the floor. The sound echoes sharp and wrong, cutting through the rhythm like a snapped string. The forge goes quiet, not completely. Fires still crackle, bellows still breathe, but the hammers pause. Everyone looks. The assistant freezes, face flushed with shame. He reaches for the hammer. A heavier hand closes around it first. The older dwarf returns it to the anvil, guiding the younger's grip back into place. He says nothing, just nods once. The hammer rises again. The rhythm returns. Ironforge exhales. Above ground, King Magni stands at the edge of the city, looking out across the snow. His crown is heavy, his armor heavier still. He hears the forges even up here, a distant heartbeat beneath stone. He knows what that sound means. As long as it continues, Ironforge stands. As long as Ironforge stands, the Alliance breathes. The first reports of failure arrive at dusk. Not here, elsewhere. A patrol overrun near Anbahal, a caravan missing on the road to Arathi. Weapons broken, armor split, too old, too thin, too rushed. The realization settles like cold iron in the gut. This war will not forgive mistakes. Down in the forge, the blacksmith adjusts his stance. Wider, lower. He can't afford mistakes either. The metal glows brighter than before. He pulls it free, sets it on the anvil, and strikes harder. Each blow rings clearer now, sharper, as if the iron itself understands the stakes. You can almost hear it pleading to be shaped correctly. A bell tolls again, not for shift change, for departure. A caravan is leaving at first light, weapons bound in cloth, crates sealed and marked. The road will be dangerous. It always is now. The forge master watches the final crate sealed. He rests his hand on it for a moment longer than necessary. "Hold," he murmurs, barely audible, not to the crate, to the world beyond it. The hammers do not slow that night. If anything, they quicken, because somewhere, far from the warmth of Ironforge, someone will lift a shield tomorrow and live or die by the edge it was given. And deep in the mountain, an unnamed blacksmith feels a strange, quiet certainty settle into his bones. The war is no longer approaching. It has arrived, and the forge will be tested next. The first crack is barely audible, a dull, ugly thunk where a clean ring should have been. You almost miss it beneath the roar of the forge. A shield returns before its owner does. It arrives strapped to the back of a courier, scratched, blackened, and split clean through the center. The metal is folded inward like torn cloth, the impact point still faintly warm. Whatever struck, it did not strike twice. It did not need to. The courier sets it down without ceremony. He does not speak. His eyes are hollow, fixed somewhere far beyond the forge walls. Thane Bronzebird knows the look. He's worn it himself. The shield is passed from hand to hand. No one argues. No one deflects blame. They run their fingers along the fracture, tracing the story written in steel. A blow too heavy, a force too focused, something new. This wasn't an axe. One smith mutters. Not a blade. Another agrees. Silence stretches. The hammer resumes, but the rhythm has changed again. Sharper now, tighter, as if Ironforge itself has stiffened. Word spreads quietly. Undead abominations, reinforced limbs, blunt weapons wielded without fatigue or pain, armor designed to crush, not cut. The forge tallies change. More shields, thicker rims, reinforced spines, and fewer hours to make them. The unnamed blacksmith is back at his anvil. His hands ache constantly now. The pain no longer fades between shifts. It lives in the joints, in the bone. He has stopped noticing. What he notices is the sound. Iron speaks differently when it's afraid. It warps, resists, fights the shape you try to give it. He adjusts the heat, slows the quench, alters the angle of each strike by a hair's breadth. These are things no ledger records, no commander orders. They are learned only by listening. Above ground, Ironforge grows quieter, not with fear, with absence. Rifle squads depart and do not return. Couriers leave with lighter packs and heavier expressions. The taverns still fill, but laughter no longer carries as far. At night, the only constant sound is the forge, the hammer, still falling. A messenger from Stormwind arrives in the early hours, cloak-torn, horse-lathered. He brings a request that borders on desperation. They need weapons designed to break bone through armor, shields that can withstand crushing blows, repairs for gear damaged beyond field mending. They need answers. Ironforge does not have answers, only iron. The Forge Master gathers the senior smiths. They stand in a semicircle, faces lit by firelight, shadows carving deep lines into stone and beard. Plans are sketched directly into soot-covered tables, experiments proposed, risks weighed, increased thickness, and soldiers slow, decrease weight, and shields fail, change alloys, and production stalls. Every option costs lives somewhere. The meeting ends without ceremony. The hammers speak again. The unnamed blacksmith attempts something new. He layers the shield core, alternating bands of steel, each quenched differently. The process takes longer, much longer. The metal resists, twisting under uneven stress. His arms tremble as he lifts it from the forge. For a moment, he considers setting it aside. He doesn't. He finishes the piece. He always finishes the piece. Testing is brutal. A dwarven guard strikes the shield with a warhammer until sparks fly. Again, a shield, dense, holds dense again. On the final blow, the guard grunts in surprise. The shield is still standing. No cheers follow, just nods. The process is adopted immediately. Production slows, but the iron holds. Elsewhere, Elias Harrow raises his shield just in time. The blow lands like a falling wall. His arm goes numb, his teeth rattle, but the shield does not split. It does not fold. He stumbles back, alive. He will never know why. Back in Ironforge, the blacksmith leans against his anvil for just a moment, too long. The world tilts. Strong hands catch him before he falls. He protests weakly, embarrassed. The hands ignore him, guiding him to a bench. Water is pressed into his grip. Breathe, someone says. He does. Once, twice. Then he stands again. The hammer waits. The Forge Master watches this exchange carefully. He marks the name in his mind, not for praise, for survival. Because the war is changing faster now. The enemy adapts. The demands multiply. And Ironforge is approaching a limit it has never faced before. Not of strength, of endurance. Late that night, deep beneath the mountain, the hammer slips, just slightly. The strike lands wrong. A crack shoots through the blade on the anvil. The sound echoes like a gunshot. Everyone freezes. The blacksmith stares at the ruined piece, chest tight. Weeks of fatigue crash down at once. He closes his eyes. This time, he does not reach for another ingot, because for the first time since the war began, Ironforge might be too tired to continue. Far above, beyond the mountain, horns sound in the cold morning air. Messengers ride hard from the wetlands, from Hillsbrad, from the borders of Lordaeron, where rumors of plague cling heavier than the fog. They carry reports of skirmishes, missing patrols, entire villages gone quiet overnight. The war does not arrive all at once. It creeps. By the time most realize it's here, they're already exhausted. That is why the hammer keeps falling. Ironforge does not sleep like other cities. Stormwind dreams. Darnossus listens. But Ironforge endures. Its halls are carved too deep for daylight to rule them. Its people measure time not by the sun, but by shifts, by meals eaten standing, by mugs refilled without comment. When one dwarf grows too tired to lift his arm, another steps in without a word. Down here, there are no speeches, only work. A runner passes behind the smith, boots crunching on stone dust. He carries a slate tablet tucked under one arm, its surface scratched with tallies and names. Shields needed in Dunmorrow. Arrowheads bound for Menethil Harbor. Sword blanks requested by a human captain whose hands are shaking too badly to write straight. The runner does not stop. Neither does the hammer. The forge master watches from a distance. Thane Bronzebeard once stood in armor polished bright enough to reflect torchlight. That was years ago. Now he wears a thick leather apron darkened by soot and age. His hair has gone white at the temples, though his eyes are sharp, calculating, never resting. He counts without numbers. He listens. The rhythm tells him everything. Which anvils are ahead, which are lagging, which smiths are nearing collapse. When a hammer falters, he nods once. Another dwarf steps forward. The rhythm resumes. Ironforge breathes out. Somewhere in the city above, a young rifleman sleeps fitfully in the barracks. His armor is stacked neatly by his bed, freshly riveted, plates fitting tighter than the old set ever did. He doesn't know the name of the dwarf who reforged it. He never will. But tomorrow, when his shield holds instead of splintering, that will matter. The blacksmith pauses for the first time in hours. He plunges the blade into water. Steam explodes upward, hissing like an angry serpent, filling the forge with a sharp metallic scent. For a moment, everything is white and loud, then quiet again. He lifts the blade, inspects it under the firelight. The edge catches the glow, thin and honest, not ornate, not heroic, reliable. He sets it aside. Another piece of iron waits, always another. The war has names now. The Scourge, the Burning Legion, cultists whispering in farmhouses, orcish warbands moving south, elven sentinels returning wounded, silent. To the soldiers on the road, it feels endless. To the smith beneath Ironforge, it feels inevitable. And inevitability is something dwarves know how to prepare for. The hammer rises again. Each strike pushes back something unseen. Fatigue, fear, the quiet question creeping into every army camp. How long can we keep going? Down here, the answer is simple. As long as the hammer falls. A bell rings faintly above, signaling the change of shift. Somewhere, mugs are drained. Shoulders are stretched. Fresh hands step into the heat. The dwarf at the anvil does not leave yet. He finishes the piece. He always finishes the piece. Only then does he step back, allowing another to take his place. They exchange no words. None are needed. The hammer passes from hand to hand, like a vow older than any king. Ironforge does not march. It does not charge. It does not scream. It forges. And while the rest of Azeroth wonders if dawn will come, the sound beneath the mountain never stops. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. Not while war still breathes. But somewhere beyond these stone walls, a new kind of threat is already watching the forge fires burn. The forge fire gutters, not out as low enough to be frightening. The cracked blade lies where it fell, cooling in silence. No one moves to clear it away. The rhythm that has carried Ironforge through weeks of war is gone, replaced by something unfamiliar. Stillness. You can almost hear the mountain listening. The unnamed blacksmith sits heavily on the bench, elbows on knees, head bowed. His hands tremble now that he's stopped. The pain he's ignored finally claims its due, flooding back all at once. Around him, other smiths feel it too. The weight, the hours, the cost. No one says it aloud, but the thought creeps in all the same. What if we can't keep going? Thane Bronzebeard steps forward. His boots scrape against stone, the sound sharp in the quiet. He does not raise his voice. He does not need to. "This isn't failure," he says, gesturing to the cracked blade. "It's a warning." The words settle slowly. "We've been pushing iron like it doesn't break," he continues, "and pushing ourselves the same way." A murmur ripples through the gathered dwarves. Not disagreement, recognition. Thane kneels, surprising them all, and picks up the ruined blade. He runs a thumb along the fracture, nodding to himself. "We change," he says simply. Orders ripple outward, not shouted, adjusted, shifts shortened, hammers rotated, less experienced hands paired with veterans, fires banked and relit in sequence instead of all at once. Efficiency over brute force. Ironforge adapts. The unnamed blacksmith is ordered away from the anvil. He argues quietly, respectfully, ineffectively. Thane meets his gaze. "Your hammers kept us awake," he says. "Now let it rest." Reluctantly, the blacksmith hands over the tool. The weight leaves his grip and he sways slightly, surprised by how light his hands feel without it. He sleeps on a cot near the forge, the sound of bellows rising and falling like a heartbeat. For the first time in days, he dreams, not of war, of stone. The forge does not fall silent that night, but it softens. The rhythm slows into something sustainable, something that can last. Above ground, the city exhales. Tavern doors close earlier. Barracks dim their lights. Even the guards shift their stance, resting shields against stone for just a moment longer. Ironforge does not sleep, but it blinks. Dawn arrives quietly. The caravan departs on schedule. Shields reinforced, weapons balanced, crates heavier than before, but fewer are lost to breakage. The road is still dangerous, but not hopeless. The blacksmith wakes before the bell. Habit. He sits up, surprised to find strength in his arms again. The ache is still there, but dulled, manageable. He stands, stretches, and returns to the anvil. His hammer is waiting, polished, warm. He lifts it. The first strike of the morning rings true, clear, strong. Word arrives days later. A human company held the line at South Shore. Shields held under crushing blows. Casualties were lower than expected. The report names commanders, units, tactics. It does not name the blacksmith. That is as it should be. Thane Bronzebeard stands alone at the edge of the great forge, listening to the renewed rhythm. Not frantic, not strained, enduring. Ironforge did not fall asleep. It learned when to breathe. And somewhere, far beyond the mountain, the war grinds on. The scourge advances. The legion plots. New horrors wait to be faced. But for now, when dawn breaks and soldiers rise from cold ground, their hands close around weapons that will not fail them. Because deep beneath the stone, a hammer fell, and fell again. And Ironforge stayed awake just long enough. The war moves on. It always does. The snow has begun to melt along the mountain paths, carving thin, winding rivers through Dunmorrow. The air smells different now. Damp stone, cold water, the promise of something changing. Inside Ironforge, the forge fires burn lower than they once did. Not weaker, controlled. The rhythm remains, steady and sure, but no longer frantic. The hammer still falls, but it no longer sounds like defiance. It sounds like memory. The unnamed blacksmith is older now. not by years, by weight. His beard carries a few more streaks of white. His hands ache when the weather turns. He trains apprentices with fewer words than before, guiding their grips, correcting their stance with a nudge rather than a lecture. You'll feel it, he tells them. If you listen, they don't always understand. They will. Some of the weapons forged during that winter have already been lost, broken on battlefield stones, buried with soldiers whose names are etched elsewhere, melted down and reforged into something new. Ironforge accepts this without ceremony. Iron is not meant to last forever. Purposes. A crate returns from the south months later. Inside, a shield, scarred, dented, repaired more than once. On its inner rim, someone has scratched a crude symbol with a dagger point, a hammer. No name, no explanation. The forge master runs his thumb over it and smiles faintly. Far away, Elias Harrow survives the war. Barely. He returns to Stormwind with a limp and a shield he refuses to discard, no matter how many times it's replaced by regulation gear. When asked why, he struggles for words. It held, is all he says. Back beneath the mountain, the blacksmith finishes another piece. He sets the hammer down and steps aside, letting an apprentice take his place. The rhythm continues without him now, as it always was meant to. For the first time, he allows himself to simply listen. The sound is different than it was in winter, calmer, wiser, still awake. Ironforge endures, not because it never rests, but because it knows when to rise again. And long after the war's banners fade, long after heroes are carved into stone and kings into history, the mountain will remember what saved it. Not a spell, not a crown, not a prophecy, just a hammer, falling when it mattered most.